Hello, Aztecs. I hope your Christmas went well. Today, I want to showcase some arcs in Onshape. So, there's three different types of arcs. There's three main types of arcs. There's a 3-point arc, a tangent arc, and a center point arc. So, first one I'm going to start off with, super simple, is a tangent arc. A tangent arc is basically defined between 2 points. So if you see our line here, this one's defined to be vertical, so it'll stay vertical, and this one's defined to be horizontal. A tangent arc basically makes sure it's tangent, so if I start off, if I redo that, if I start off with a tangent arc, if I click here, it'll make sure this point, that point that I clicked on, will stay, there we go. Okay, if I make a tangent arc, it will make sure it is always tangent to this point right here. So if I draw a tangent arc from here to here, this is obviously not tangent. If you see the little bit, oh, escape tangent, dang it. There we go. Okay. If you see, obviously there's a little bit of a bump between these two lines. This one's going a little up, that one's going a little sideways. So we'll have to define those as tangent, and that'll make them straight. You're probably wondering, what does tangent mean? Obviously, it's a little difficult for me to just say tangent. If I go here and Google, tangent is when a straight line or plane that touches a curved or curved surface at a point, but it does not cross that point. So basically, it's when two lines touch and they evenly transition, they're straight and they transition smoothly, but they don't intersect each other. So if I have two circles here and I give them just random values, and I make these two edges tangent, as you see, they're now touching, but there's only one actual point that they're touching on. None of the other rest of this part, none of the rest of that line is actually touching. There is only one singular point that they're touching at, and they never intersect or go through each other. The second arc I want to showcase is the center point. So a center point arc, you start from drawing at a center point. So let me escape that. Oh, what is going on here? There we go. Okay, so if I set, let's delete this other circle. If I set this line to be construction, so when making something like a gearbox, let me go to my example here. So here we have a design of a gearbox. If I go into, where is it? If I make this plate hidden, and I go to, that's the assembly. Hang on, just 1 second. I, there we go. If I go into sketch 1 here, so if you see, when I escape these, okay, it's not here. But if I go into the assembly, you can see all these gears and these bolts and all these like stuff that all these things attach to. If I go into here in sketch 1, obviously when we show it here, it's just a plate. But when designing that plate, we wanted to design around our elements. So you can see this is obviously supposed to be a motor right here, because all this circular pattern of holes right here, those are bolt holes. So, and these bigger construction circles are for gears. So to design with center point arcs, these are more helpful for, these are, hang on a second. Sorry, I got distracted a second. My friend was calling me. Okay. If I wanted to do a center point arc, it starts at a center, and let's say this was a gear. This circle that right here is a gear, and we wanted it to be at the edge. We can center point it to the circle, and we say we wanted to start right here and right here. So now we have an arc following that circle, and then we say we had another circle down here, and I was able to make another one of these. I can now make a line between these two, and then, okay, Then I'm able to make these tangent, again, making sure they only intersect at one point. If I make it tangent to the circle, then you see that that angle is now straight. If you look down here, make this tangent, there we go. Now we have a smooth transition between these two circles. This is really helpful for designing things for belts, or obviously right here, designing a plate around the motor mounts and the wheels and gears. These are basically start at one center point. If you have a defined center point that you wanted to make an arc around, it's really helpful. Our fidget spinner from the day from our last day was you had to probably use a center point arc from where those bearing holes were. Really helpful with that. Moving on to our final arc. This is the most kind of complicated one, I guess, of the three I'm going to talk about, is the 3-point arc. So 3-point arcs are basically you set one point, you set the other point, and then this radius of the arc can be anything. If you see that little dot there that's kind of moving with it, arcs are basically half of a circle. So that would be the center point of a circle if we connected our arc to be a circle. So so we can set these 2 points where it'll connect, and we can set the third point of basically where the outer edge will be, and that sets our radius. You see our radius of that arc is 1.121. And basically these are set to be, you can set them to anything. So I could set it to 1, I could set it to 0.5. When it's a little more open, I guess, than something like a tangent arc, where tangent arcs are straight between these two, and then your radius is basically already determined by the distance between the two lines. Okay, that's all I have for today. I hope that helped.